Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into Iran's complex world of shadow politics, and we're asking a huge question. When the U.S. thinks it's negotiating with Iran, who's actually on the other end of that call?
So let's start with this really interesting, kind of puzzling statement from former U.S. President Donald Trump. He insisted he was talking directly to a senior figure in Iran, but at the same time, Tehran's official government was saying, nope, not happening.
Right there, that's the contradiction at the heart of what we're talking about today. In this incredibly fractured political system, who is really calling the shots? Who has the authority to actually sign off on a deal?
Okay, so to figure out who's in charge, we first have to get our heads around this major paradox that defines Iran's political landscape today. It's this idea of a state that's both incredibly weak and incredibly strong, all at the same time.
So on one hand, you've got the official government, the civilian parts of the state. And honestly, they've never been weaker. They're basically hollowed out from all the economic pressure and infighting. But then, on the other hand, you have the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC. And their grip on the country? Well, it's never, ever been tighter.
And this whole situation has created what one analyst, Behnam Ben Taleblu, calls a remnant national security state. Now, this is a really important idea to grasp. It means the military, the IRGC, isn't just a powerful part of the government anymore. It's as if it's become the government's entire central nervous system. It's running the show.
All right, so with that in mind, let's start dissecting the key players and institutions. We're going to see who's really making the calls in this new power structure. Okay, first up, the Supreme National Security Council. On paper, this is supposed to be the top group coordinating everything. Foreign policy, military stuff, but in reality, it's basically become the IRGC's operations room. Their commanders have the majority vote, and they're the ones setting the agenda. Full stop.
And this power shift, it goes all the way to the top. I mean, check this out. According to one intelligence analyst, General Yossi Cooperwater, the Supreme Leader himself is now like a hologram. Just think about that. He looks like he has authority, but there's no real control there. He's just a figurehead. So, if the Supreme Leader is a hologram, then who was the U.S. actually talking to, right? Who's this mysterious senior figure? Well, all signs point to one man, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf. And he's a really unique case, what you might call a hybrid figure. He's got a foot in both worlds, a former top IRGC commander who is also the current Speaker of Parliament. So where does that leave the foreign minister, the guy you see on TV shaking hands? Well, pretty much out of the loop. He's not the one making decisions. He's basically just a messenger, delivering the script that's been written for him behind closed doors by the real powers that be.
Okay, so you've got this fractured system, a weak state, a super powerful military, all these competing groups. What on earth holds it all together? What's the glue? Well, it all comes down to one single powerful instinct.
Survival. That's it. It's the one thing that matters more than anything else, more than internal squabbles, more than factional politics. The one single goal that unites every single person in power is making sure the regime survives. That is the absolute bottom line.
And this obsession with survival, it really shapes the path forward. It basically leads us to three possible scenarios for what could happen next between Iran and the U.S.
All right, let's walk through these three paths. Path number one, the most likely one, at around 50 to 60%, is some kind of pragmatic compromise. Why? Because it serves that survival instinct. Then you've got path two, military escalation. This could happen if the hardliners say, no deal, or if the U.S. decides to push things militarily. And finally, the third path, which is the least likely but you can't rule it out, is a complete internal collapse of the regime.
So you can see here, a pragmatic deal based on survival is the frontrunner. But, and this is a big but, you can't ignore that 30% chance of military conflict. That's a significant risk. So, yeah, the future is anything but certain. So what would this most likely scenario actually look like? Well, the IRGC would quietly give the green light to some concessions, maybe cool things down in the region. And in return, they'd want the US and Israel to back off with the airstrikes. And here's the kicker. This move would guarantee the regime survives, and it would let the IRGC lock down its total control at home. So you got to understand, this isn't a deal about peace, it's a deal about preserving power. And that really gets to the heart of it all. Any deal you see on the table won't be coming from the civilian government's goodwill or a desire for peace. No way. It's going to be the result of a cold, hard calculation by the military elite. They've run the numbers, and they've decided a deal is the best way to keep themselves in power.
So, we're left with this huge, critical question. Will it be a pragmatic negotiation born out of a raw instinct for survival? Or will it be a head-on military confrontation? The path Iran takes won't just decide its own future, it's going to have massive ripples, reshaping the entire Middle East.